Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. As always, it's so awesome to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by. When I first started to learn how to play the drums back in the early 1980s, the rock band Journey was topping the charts. They were easily one of the biggest bands in the world. I'd learned that the drummer's name was Steve Smith. And not only did I enjoy listening to his inventive drum parts, I also loved the way his drums sounded. I would hear them on albums like Captured, Escape, Frontiers, and even the 3 songs that he did on Raised on Radio. I would later learn that Steve played Sonor drums, which happened to be made in Germany. Now, it would take many years after that time frame to be able to afford a set of Sonor drums, but it happened one day, and I have actually been playing this brand longer than anything, and I have been playing drums for over 40 years. Back in 2019, I was fortunate enough to be able to travel overseas to Germany. My wife had a business conference there, and I was able to tag along. So I decided to reach out to Sonor beforehand and see if I could take a tour. I eventually heard back from the managing director at the time, Karl-Heinz Menzel. This guy was the face of Sonor for many years. I think he has since retired. And I also heard from the international artist relations manager, Bart Thomas. And Bart said, yeah, sure, come on over, I will give you a tour. Both guys were very gracious and welcoming on that front. And it was rather endearing and even just a little trippy that Karl-Heinz said that he apologized for not being able to meet me in person when I was in Germany because he would be in Asia at the time. I thought that was a pretty classy move. Both guys recommended a hotel at a local town, and I'm assuming that this would be the same hotel where real drummers would stay when they visit the factory. You know, the likes of Steve Smith and Danny Carey, Benny Greb, Gavin Harrison, and now Todd Zuckerman, among many others over the years. The Sonor factory is located about 10 miles outside of that quaint little town named Bad Berlberg. One unique trait about the town is that a lot of the homes and buildings are made from black slate. Here's a picture of our hotel. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce it because I will butcher it. But the hotel was wonderful. Great service, comfortable rooms, awesome food and drink. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about how to pronounce the name properly. Now, this comes straight from Bart Thomas himself. The German pronunciation, meaning the way that they would pronounce it over there, is Sonor, Sonor. Accent is on the second syllable. Now, a close variant that works for them is Sonor, Sonor, where the accent is on the first syllable. Other variants like Sonor or sonar, as in locating objects underwater, is slightly off the mark, but they likely wouldn't say anything. Bart told me to allow 3 hours for the tour, and we would meet in the morning. My wife and I were welcomed warmly and taken to the artist room. There we met Bart Thomas, and he was really cool. I was allowed to take pictures the whole time. The first impression of the facility is just how small it is. It really is a glorified mom and pop business, which explains why the custom-made drums can take anywhere from 6 months to a year to produce. Here's a picture of the main first room, which houses a lot of old machinery they don't use anymore. This would be a good time to mention that Sonor has been making drums since 1875, which means they are currently celebrating their 150th anniversary. That is crazy when you think about it. The next room they took us to is where they store and season their wood. These rows, especially this one, is full of hardware and parts. Next came the veneers. Some of them are organic, others manufactured. They are all unique and beautiful, however. Customers have a lot to choose from and can even mix and match veneers on the inside and outside of their drums. On to the manufacturing. Now, if I remember right, this machine makes the plies, which are thin pieces of wood. And right now, as far as wood choices go, they are offering drums in maple, birch, or beech. And one fun fact here is that beech wood is the wood that is found predominantly in their area. They take these thin plies of wood and compress them by way of these machines in order to make a shell. Next comes cutting the bearing edges and holes for the hardware, which again, if memory serves, is all done by machine now. It's more exact and consistent, which is what we would want in a high-end drum. After that comes the paint, which was done in these types of compartments. Here are some painted shells. This is what I believe to be the contraption they used to apply the high gloss finish. They also offer wraps instead of veneers, which are pictured here. Here are some shots of the finished shells. Once all of the customers' drums are molded, cut, painted, and polished, they keep them together stacked on the floor like this. The next step is to attach all the hardware and a final round of polishing. And then comes the shipping. Look at all these sets ready to go all around the world. The next building was a real treat, the Sonor Museum. It's one large room full of their historical drums, which have been accumulated since their establishment. I was like a kid in the candy store. Okay, I'll have to do another video at some point for those who may be interested, where I'll give you a closer look at my particular drum set. I'll talk about configuration, the wood that I chose, sizes, and share a little bit more about why I like these drums. But until then, I'd like to offer a closing thought. I am a nobody in the drumming world, and yet everyone at the Sonor factory that day treated me like a rock star. They didn't have to, but they did. And I think it says a lot about them and the company. And it's something that I will not forget. I think it's one of the reasons that they have been able to make drums for 150 years and still going strong. Happy anniversary, Sonor. All right, y'all, until the next video, light and love to you. Take care.